In this video, we're going to go over episode 5 of the Bootcamp Basics for the Roland Mc-707. So I'm using sounds I've made here. Make sure to watch from the first episode if you want to learn the basics of how to make your own sounds. So let's start off looking at the arpeggiator. So I'm going to press Shift Note. Now we can see we're in the note mode settings. So right here, we can see the octave of the keyboard that we're in. And currently we're in this tab. We can scroll the different tabs by pressing left and right. So here's the arpeggiator. I can enable it by just turning C3. While we're in this menu, I can just press Note and it enables it or disables it. So let's turn it on and play some notes. So now let's arrow over to the ARP screen and we have motif and that's a direction. So currently it's just going to go up from all the notes that I'm pressing. Now when it's change it, now it's going down. Well, it's octave down from this menu. You can see it's the same thing as pressing that button. Let's turn up the cutoff. Now we can change the variation. That just makes the speed faster or slower. Can change the motif again. Now it's going up and down. Make it faster. So octave makes it higher octaves, or I can bring it in lower. Can also enable hold. So if I do that, I can just let go. Can also play something different. Let's turn up the cutoff. Turn down the resonance. Play something else. Let's bring the octaves up in the positive. Turn down the cutoff. You can change the motif again. Now it's on random. So it's going to play randomly from any note that I pick. Change it again. Note order. Now that's the note order that I play in here. Make it really fast. And turn off the hold. Just note, if you're in the drums, you can make strange beats this way. But if you're ever playing a drum beat and it's acting weird, it's because arpeggiator's on. So Shift Note, and then just press Note. Arpeggiator's off, and now we're back to normal hits. So now that we're in the drums, I want to go deeper into molding these sounds. So if I press Shift and Sound, so now we can see the pad that we have chosen. I can press Enter, go to Instrument Select, press Enter, Preset. Now I can turn and switch between all the different kick sounds. I have a short delay on the multi-effects. Let's just disable it. Let's go to E-Kick. All right, let's just pick that kick, press Enter. Now if we don't press Enter, it's just going to revert right back if we exit the menu. Let's say I want to change some properties on here. Let's go over to Pad Edit, press Enter. We see we're in the EQ tab, just arrow over to Control. Now we can see a lot of different options. So we can change independently the level, the panning, all sorts of different options here. What I want to do, we can change it to be just dry or master effects. Now, if I play a different pad, it's going to actually switch to that setting. So I'm going to turn that to dry. That's going to be MFX. So if I want to change the pitch, there it is. We can just do coarse tuning right there. We have a fine tune offset. So I have a hi-hat here. And right now we're on TVF cutoff offset. So if I turn it down, it's going to turn down all the harsh sound. So it's running through the MFX we can see up here. And we're just turning the cutoff as it's running into that. We also have resonance. And down here we have attack, decay, and release. So let's copy a pad over here. We have to exit. So I want to copy this. So function up. Now let's press here. Now function down. Just pasted the pad. Press enter. We're going to go into the pad edit. Now I'm going to turn up the attack time. I can also change all the other properties here. So let's turn up the key or the coarse tuning. Turn up the level. So there's that, and then there's this. It fades in. Let's take that, copy this, function up. Now this pad, function down. Now let's press enter, pad edit. Let's change the attack time on this. The release time. So let's copy this pad, function up, function down, enter, pad edit, change the attack time. So now we can mold no matter what we have in here. And also we have all the knobs up here that we can assign. So if we have no clip here, I can create one just turning this to create and pushing in C4, or I can just press shift and press a step. So press play. Now we can see it scrolling through. So if I press shift and a step here, we can see a blinking white cursor. I can scroll between the steps, just turning the value knob. We can also see the playback cursor. Now if I want to enter in, we're right here on the kick drum. If I want to enter it in, just press enter. And if I move, we can see, and you can also hear it playing back. So let's enter in some more notes here. Now I'm going to go to the snare, just add one here and here. Let's go to the hi-hat. I can just enter in notes like this. So I messed up here, so I'm just going to press clear, and those steps are gone. Let's say I want to vary the velocity on these. So I can see here velocity, and I can turn and just change the values right here. You can see the color changed a little once it gets to a certain point. Also I see start, so if you want to do a micro offset, you can do that. You just pull it in one way or another, just highlight it and change it up. So you can hear the hi-hat just a little off on some of the steps. So if I enter in a note here, I can turn up the mute and make it more likely to not trigger. And also we have sub-step. If I turn that up, it's going to play by divisions of that note. So not only does it repeat, it also has the mute function here. So I turn it really high, it's unlikely to play, but will here and there. Let's turn it down just a little. There it is. So if I arrow over to the right, we see note page 2. So I can change the end of that note. So let's arrow left into the motion tab. So we can change any of these knobs depending on what step we're on. So if I press play, you can hear that beat. Let's actually go into filter. Now I can either turn the knob up here to change that value, and then it'll always stay there, unless I modify another one. So let's turn that down. I change it here. I can also turn it to get more precise values, or I can make it fast by pushing down and turning. Now let's go to mod here and change that one. So this one's set to release. So if I go over 50, it's gonna have a nice sound there. Now let's just turn. So if I hold down record and turn it, the knob, I can see all the values that it did. So I can also just have this enabled and turn, just to change out to different clicks if I want. And reset it. Just hold down on and turn the note. I can see that's clear. Let's have some fun with this. I'm just going to choose a step. We're just going to switch the pitch. Now this is coarse tuning that I have set here. And I can just press record, change some values. Let's add some of these slow attack pads. So that's all recorded in. Let's change that again. Shift, step. We're in this right here. Now we see the fourth one, sound. So if I want to modify that, there's not a fourth knob, but there's this knob. So press knob assign. Sound C4 is set to level, so that's the volume. So exit out, shift step. Now I can just change the volume. So we'll have it be loud here, and we'll turn it down here, and then back up. And here, make it really quiet. Press play. So I can go to each individual step and press clear and push down the knob, and it resets it. So from this menu, if I push down, we can see that triangle gets filled in. I can arrow between the different lanes. I can clear the motion, hold down on, turn the filter, now it's all gone. So also we can go into what's called motion drawing. We're on the filter lane. So if I press function from this menu, now we can see motion designer. Now we can change, C1 changes the waveform. There's a lot of different waveforms. Step length, so how many steps that waveform is applied. Minimum value, and that's the smallest value. Maximum value, let's max it out. Now it's set to LFO saw. Let's just make it 1 step length. It says press enter to overwrite filter motion. So press enter. Now it's all written in. Press play. Now we can hear it fading. You can turn minimum all the way up and maximum all the way down. Press enter. Now if I scroll to the right from this menu, we can see a visual of what's going on. C1 changes the position, so this is the bar. So when we generated this, it extends all the way through all 8 bars, even if it's just set to 1 bar. C2 zooms, so I can zoom out all the way and zoom in. So STP is step, so I'm changing C3. We can see a little cursor moving around here. We have value, so that's the amount. So from here, let's say I want to change some of this. So I want it to do this 4 times. Then if I hold down clear and turn C3, it makes it disappear. So let's move back over here. And now let's change the value. Press enter to draw from the last line. So there it is. I just drew it. Now we're going to go over here, go down, press enter, and it just drew that. And I can go straight across if I want. Press enter. Then it drew it straight across. And just clear all this. Now let's say I want it to be silent here. So all the way down to 0, press enter. Let's move over here. We see a little dot. Let's press enter here. Let's go max, press enter. And then over to connect to here, press enter. So that's how this works. You can just draw any shape in. Let's press play. So that's just with that one. Let's turn this knob. Now we can see all the motion for that. So if I press on and turn it, that erased all of the motion. Make it fade all the way to the bottom, press enter. Now wherever I turn this knob, we can see that value right here. So if I need to use it as a reference, I can just switch to it. Let's just press enter. You can see it just drew from that knob. So I can actually enable it, change the values, and see a real-time update. Let's change this. Turn out the feedback, just overriding everything. Now let's clear everything. All the lanes are clear. Let's go back into function. Let's exit out, go over to sound, let's hold down clear, and just scroll across. Now it's blank because we don't hear the volume, so we're just going to change it. Make it fade out a little bit. Fade all the way in, out again, etc. So you can hear all those being affected here. Now let's go into the synth here. If I press play, we can hear the beat. We don't see any clip going through here. Press shift on any step. That just created a new clip. If you want to change the options, shift, measure right. We can change the step length. Let's make it 10. Now press exit. So I want to add some bass here. So let's press shift and the step and shift right measure. Let's change the scale to 1/8. Now we're just going to pick some notes. So now I'm going to press shift and step 1. I'm going to hold down the note I want. Press rest a couple times. Then we want to change the note. Now I'm going to press play. Now here, no clip. So shift step, shift right measure. Let's change that to 10, for example. Now let's go and shift, press a step. Now we're just going to enter in some notes. It also registers velocity, so if I press it lightly, you can see the velocity right there. If you want to increase it, you can just do it right there. Now let's go shift. Let's make it slower. So it's 1/8 scale. Press play. And change the octave. Select up. Change the cutoff. So let's just focus on this track. Now, for chords enabled, I can actually press clear as it's playing. Watch. It's going to delete the note wherever I hold it down. Just adding notes here and there. Turn down the cutoff. Now, if I arrow over to the notes, I can change, and now we can switch between. Let's say I want to change this note, I can change it this way, or I can push down C1 and change the octave of it. If I scroll over to where there's 2 notes, for example, and I want to change both of those values, hold down function. Now let's go up an octave. Of course, I can just add a note there too. Let's go down an octave, do a C. And also change length. So let's go see if it does anything. I change the length of this note. Just turn it down. Can change the start when the note plays. Can change the velocity of the notes. We also have note substeps, so we can divide notes on here too. You can do it per note or hold down function, and it modifies relative. Go down an octave. Turn down the cutoff. Let's clear that. And we'll just enter in different notes. So this step right here, let's say I want to copy it, move it somewhere else. Just hold down function, press up, it says copy note. Let's put it right here, function down. You can hear it pasted right there. Now also, we can arrow to the left from motion. We can start entering in some steps. For example, let's change the filter and turn it from this knob. That changes per step. Also, resonance, so it's just switch to resonance here. I'll just change it. Again, this we can only change from here, and that's actually the volume, so let's turn it up here. So you can really do a lot here, and then again we can go into function. We can actually see the values entered in. You can hold down clear, turn C3, and it sweep it through, and it just erased all that. You can put in notes here. So you can press enter. Maybe turn it down here. Just pressing enter, changing the value, pressing enter. You can see and hear what's happening. Let's go back to this. Let's clear. Just cleared the filter. And I can just erase some of the notes, so just press clear. So I just made a whole bunch of patterns here. We're in this instrument and I want to create a clip. So shift step 1 creates the clip, and then just press shift and measure right. Now we're in the settings. Now let's change the length, maybe to 4. We're going to exit out, shift step. Now we're going to move into the notes. We're going to add some notes. So press play. Now I can do, let's go back into motion here. And we can just switch around and change the filter. Let's just do it right from here. So it's pretty cool. Let's go back over here. We can go through and push down the C1 knob, turn it up an octave. Go back into motion. Let's change the filter. You can change all the other settings as well, like the note length. Now, depending on how the synth is set up, it might not affect it as much. So let's just try it. Because it might have a long release, so you might not notice it as much. Go octave down the whole thing, select arrow down. So I'm going to press clip and then go to row 1. Now we're on the top row. We just triggered the whole thing. So these are pretty standard clips, so let's mess around with them. So it's now playing just this synth because that's all that's turned up. Press note. Now if we turn up, say this. Turn these up. So that's playing all of them. Now if I press mute and then mute some of these, we'll just go back to right here. If I press function mute, it switches, so it toggles everything. So there's one way to switch through things. Now let's press shift and then motion record. Now we're in the first and last step. So I can enable them from here. That's one way to do it. So first, we turned it on. That turns this on. And we can change the first step. So now it's just going to loop. Turn on the last, and we'll make that. Now it defaults it all the way up. So let's shift down until there we go. Now we can see and hear it. Now I can go over here and do the same thing. Here's another way to enable all this. So I can press shift for the start and then just press anywhere for the last. I'll turn that one up. Turn up the cutoff. I'll turn this back up. Let's go into the drums here. Shift sound. Let's look at the MFX. So it's set to overdrive. Let's turn up the drive a little. And now we're going to go into the different pads and go to pad edit. Just tab over to control. And we see. Let's change it to MFX. And then this to MFX. Now this one has, let's scroll down. So we have decay all the way down. Let's crank that up. And then the release, I changed that on there. So now we can hear more of that hi-hat. Again, we can hold down record and change how the drums sound. I can also go into the clip. We can make it fast and then switch to random. So it's going to play just different things. Now I'm going to go back into the drum. Let's go into pad edit. Let's see what we have set. So let's turn off MFX for the kick. So it's pure chaos right here. So now we can also do this in here. So shift. Now it's just going to pick from these. So it's pretty crazy. Now if I press clip and we jump to this one, just going to do a whole next track. Let's turn down the cutoff. Let's turn these up. Again, let's mess this up. Let's turn down the bass. Let's start here. So shift record. Start here and here. I'll press here. Same thing. You can also move the last step over. It doesn't really change much. Let's just keep going through and just changing all of this. I just added it to all of them. So I'm just changing, I can change the first and last step again from here as well. And now it's just going to be different. Let's turn up the cutoff. Let's turn up the multi-tape delay. So we can also turn up the tempo. Press record to exit and go back in. If I want to, I can just clear all of those just by pressing clear. And there we go. Let's go to the next clip. Let's do that again. So let's just do first, last step on, changing the values. Pretty easy to do. Just changing those values. Let's also go in the clip here. We're going to change the scale and make it 32. So now it's going to mess up everything. Now let's choose the synth, shift sound. Let's go to the amp. Let's turn down release on these. because they're playing so many notes so quickly that we want it to trigger shorter. Turn up the tape. Switch the next. Now it's still going fast tempo, but it's not doing the fast scale. So let's go through, shift, and the measure over. Let's turn them up. I can also change to random on all these. Exit out. And now we have a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on. Let's do this again. First, last step. We'll just change it for each one. First, last. And then let's turn up just one. Change the cutoff. Bring it up an octave, select up. Turn down the delay. Go to clip the next one. We'll hear a different change here. Let's turn down the tape. These were made to have slower tempos. Like that. Turn up the tape. So I have scatter here. So let's just add some more of that short tape delay on top of everything. So I can toggle it on here. Just playing with the motion on the drums. Let's make sure we're in here. Change it to random and then go fast. We're just going to play around with first, last. Do the same on here. First, last, etc. Now let's go into here, turn the scale up for each one. Switch these to random. So now it's just playing the limited areas, just like we wanted it to. We'll turn off the scatter, so bring it down in a level. Turn down the tempo. Let's go back. Let's just see what this would sound like a slower tempo. Back to this. Go to 7. Bring up the tempo. Function mute. It just toggles everything. Do it again. Now let's enable all of it. Let's go fast tempo again. Change to the next clip.